You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, the Warriors held on to win over the Timberwolves, 116-115, barely closing out this road trip with a much-needed win, salvaging a 2-2 record on this four-game trip. And after jumping out to a 24-point lead in the first quarter, the Dubs let Ant Edwards and the Wolves back into this game in that second half, but had just enough in the tank to secure the win and outlast the comeback attempt. Steph led the offensive charge with 31 and 7 made three-pointers. GP2 made his return from injury tonight, provided a spark on defense. Gui Santos got his first start, some great minutes from him. TJD played some great minutes. Buddy Hield, a great effort off the bench. Moses Moody as well. Really an entire team effort in this win tonight. And Andrew Wiggins, a major factor, grabbing key rebounds and hitting shots in the key non-Steph minutes. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. If you aren't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed and making us your first listen following these Warriors games. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Charlie Walter does a great job. And as I said, they had barely enough in the tank to outlast that fourth quarter comeback from the Wolves, and let's just get into it. That fourth quarter really was bad vibes in the start of it. The Wolves shrink the lead to just 3 after the first 3 minutes of the quarter. The Warriors were hitting some shots from the field, but Steph in particular was missing the threes, but the Wolves were draining them. Dante DiVincenzo really came alive. Ant Edwards was doing his thing. DiVincenzo, the former Golden State Warrior, 28 points to match Anthony Edwards' 28 points as well. Those two were giving the Warriors fits from deep, especially after the first quarter in this one. Early on, both guys were struggling to hit shots, but man, they got hot in that fourth quarter. And then Steph sat down with 7:28 left and a 5-point lead. And this was huge for the Warriors because they really needed to survive this that 3-4 minute stretch that they were going to be without Steph. And their offense was kind of not really, it wasn't outpacing the Timberwolves offense. I hesitate to say they were struggling because relative to how they've been playing, their offense looked phenomenal tonight. It was the first time that they scored more than 110 points since those back-to-back wins that they had in the start of 2025 against the 76ers and the Grizzlies. Also, coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, the first time that they passed that threshold since Jonathan Kuminga went down with his injury. So the Warriors offense obviously struggling mightily without JK. And I was concerned when in these non-Steph minutes tonight, but time and time again, Andrew Wiggins came to the rescue tonight. And man, if this guy could show up and play this way every single time, consistently, if he could just be that consistent second option, this Warriors team would benefit dramatically from it. So Wiggins, we get the good Wiggins tonight, and really we got the good version of all of the Warriors role players tonight. GP2 comes back from injury, makes a major impact on the defensive end, and Buddy Hield contributes a ton of points off the bench. Everybody who played for the Warriors tonight really helped them out. Every single person was contributing. Kevon Looney stuffing the stat sheet with 5 boards, 6 assists, and 4 points off the bench. Buddy Hield with his 18 points, Moses Moody with 11 points, and a bunch of clutch three-pointers in gotta-have-it moments. And as I said, GP2 with a bunch of hustle plays tonight and 7 points as well, 6 boards. Everyone was contributing in this one, but in those waning minutes with about 7:30 left to go, Moody hits a big 3 after a TJD offensive rebound. Andrew Wiggins hits a big 3 in that time without Steph on the floor as well. And the Warriors survive those non-Steph minutes. And when Steph comes back, they have a 6-point lead. They actually increase the lead from when he went out with about 4:30 left to play in this game. And the Warriors really needed Steph to come in this one and start hitting shots when he came back into this game. And thankfully he did. He really proved to be the closer that we know him to be again for like the 900th time in his career. As this one was winding down, Steph hitting a couple huge threes in those last couple minutes, but that one that he hit with 47 seconds left to give the Warriors a 3-point lead after the Wolves had tied it up, it was massive. And it really shifted the momentum back towards the Warriors. and they were able to hang on from there. They had a little bit of sketchiness down the stretch there, again, they had an issue with inbounding the ball in the waning seconds of a one-possession game with the shot clock turned off, and they gave the Wolves unnecessary life with about 16 seconds to go. And I don't really have like a stat that I can throw at you for how many times this has happened this season, but I can tell you from watching the Warriors every single day that they played this year that they tend to do this a lot, man. Like, they played more clutch minutes games than any other team in the NBA, and they seem to really struggle with just getting the ball inbounds in these last couple seconds. I mean, thankfully, Steve Kerr used a timeout with about 1 second left and the Warriors needing to inbound the ball and just not screw it up. And so I kind of like that Steve Kerr took that timeout there. There was a little bit of weirdness at the end of the game. I don't think the broadcast really even knew what was going on for a minute there as Tony Brothers put the headphones on and went over to the scorer's table. It was kind of confusing. Ultimately, we realized that Steve Kerr had called the timeout, and they were just really trying to ensure that the Wolves, didn't have an opportunity for a steal and an easy putback under their own basket, advance the ball into the front court, all those things, give the Warriors a for sure win in those clutch minutes, in that crunch time, because, hey, they have been having a really bad stretch of inbounding plays in these final moments. So kind of a weird end to this game, but a very, I thought, good decision by Steve Kerr to use a timeout in that situation, even though it seemed a little weird. But one thing that was also very, very, very huge at the end of this one, the Wolves shrink it to 1 after that Steph Curry 3 because DiVincenzo comes up with a quick layup. And then GP2 gets fouled, goes to the line, and misses his second free throw. So the Wolves are looking like they're going to have one more possession with a chance to tie or take the lead in the final seconds. But, man, Andrew Wiggins comes up with the biggest offensive rebound of the night to seal the win, gets it out to Curry, and, Steph being Steph sinks the 2 dagger free throws, and the Warriors win this game. Also ran some time off the clock in the process. Great hustle play from Andrew Wiggins and really all of the Warriors tonight. Like, you look across the board at the hustle stats, and I mean, the Warriors keeping pace with the Timberwolves, or beating them in all of these categories. I mean, rebounding, the Warriors win by 6. They were really dominant. I mean, really dominant on the offensive boards in this one, even though the Wolves did end up with a couple more offensive boards than the Warriors. I think the Warriors 14 offensive boards to the Wolves 16. When you look at the size differential of this team, like, that just speaks volumes to this Warriors team, and especially to one guy in particular, and that is Trayce Jackson-Davis. Dude had nine offensive boards. 9 offensive boards, 15 total rebounds in this game. And Trayce Jackson-Davis, huge moments in the waning minutes of this one. As I said, without Steph on the floor, like the very first play, the Wolves go down and hit a 3, and coming back the other way, TJD grabs an offensive rebound, kicks it out to Moses Moody, and he drains a 3 that would just countered exactly what the Timberwolves had done. And really, this was a huge moment in this game, helping keep the Warriors afloat and surviving the non-Steph minutes. And so the Warriors did everything they needed to do to hold on to winning this one. But, man, giving up a 24-point lead in that first quarter does not feel very good. But at the same time, if you didn't have it, you don't win this game. And so the Warriors really needed every single player on this roster to contribute tonight. They were a little shorthanded again without Draymond Green, who missed his 3rd consecutive game. A little bit of concern about Draymond and his knees at this point, and it's just his durability going forward. But no minutes for Lindy Waters. He fell out of the rotation tonight. No minutes for Pat Spencer, and a ton of minutes for our guy Gui Santos. 21 minutes again for Gui Santos. He started this game pretty hot, man. He hit his first 2 shots from the floor. He only finished with 5 points, though. Those were the only 2 field goals he made for the whole game. But he did contribute in other ways. 7 boards, an offensive rebound, 3 assists. I thought played pretty well, other than him getting into foul trouble defensively. Thought he gave you a lot of effort there. And also, we got to mention, we already said TJD's offensive rebounds and how amazing his effort on that was. But TJD running the floor, man, all night long, creating space for the Warriors offense, getting a couple easy buckets in transition. And the way that he absolutely battled Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert inside tonight on the defensive end of the floor was admirable. I mean, this guy, I think a lot of people look at him as kind of like a backup center in the NBA, and maybe that's kind of where his destiny will ultimately be. But I mean, if you surround the rest of this Warriors starting lineup with talent, I think TJD can still be a starting center for this team. I think he needs another guy besides Kevon Looney, though, another legit, actual 7-footer on this team to kind of take some of the pressure off of him. It puts a lot of pressure on him when you have Draymond at the 4 because he's, kind of freelancing a lot of the time on defense, not necessarily battling in the paint, although the Warriors have had to, out of necessity, use him at the 5 a lot more than Draymond, I think, really wants to play at the 5, and a lot more than the Warriors, I think, really want to play him at the 5 as well. If you get another big in here, it would really, I think, benefit everybody on this team, but TJD holding it down in the meantime. Again, 15 rebounds, 9 offensive boards for him, and some phenomenal interior defense on Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle as well. I mean, Julius Randle tonight, just 8 of 18 from the floor. I mean, the Warriors did such a good job against him defensively, sending help. They did overhelp at times, but I mean, they did, I think, a great job on Julius Randle here throughout the night. So the Warriors, I think, picked up a much-needed win. I think that they had been really struggling offensively, and I mean, I don't think, it's a fact. They've been really, really bad offensively in recent weeks, and seeing them put up 116 tonight, it's not, the biggest point total that you've seen, but seeing them get back over that 110-point threshold, seeing the bench contribute the way that it did, this felt much more like the type of game that the Warriors want to play, relying on the defense, getting contributions from everyone, and Steph being Steph. Steph with 10 of 21 from the field, 31 points, and 7 3-pointers as well. I mean, it was phenomenal. 8 assists from Steph. This is why you don't want to waste his waning moments of his career. But as the Warriors have all kind of collectively said in recent weeks, in recent days, even Steph himself talking very candidly after that loss to the Raptors, which we didn't have a show for, and I apologize for that. I had some delays in my travels over the weekend and was unable to get back in time for the show, unfortunately. But the Steph's interview after that Raptors game, where he basically said, and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr all kind of came out in unison, saying that it's not worth mortgaging the future to try and win now with an average team. And that's, I don't know how that sits with me. I'm still kind of digesting that. I kind of agree with it and disagree with it at the same time. You obviously don't want to waste Steph Curry's career at his last waning moments. He's the greatest athlete that this franchise has ever seen. But he's right. Like, this team is so average, despite winning tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They had to win this game to get back to 500, and that's about where this team is. I mean, do you blow it all up for the next 3 to 4, maybe more years just to try and give a team that's 500 right now a chance at winning a title? Steph and Draymond say it's not worth it. And so does Steve Kerr. So, I mean, it looks like the Warriors, as I said in our last show that we did, the Warriors, the longer that this goes on, the closer we get to the trade deadline, the more and more I think that they're not going to make a move. The more and more I think that this is what they got. So we got to get used to it. We got to see if the Warriors got enough in the tank with what they got to give us something, at least, like get into the postseason, give us a little bit of a postseason Steph action. Like maybe there's a couple smaller trades to be had out there, maybe like a Kelly Olynyk who could kind of unlock some things in this offense. But again, kind of a tough pill to swallow, man. Not kind of a tough pill to swallow. It is a tough pill to swallow. Hearing your superstar basically say, I don't think that we should mortgage the future to win now, and that they're just kind of, in a sense, waving the white flag for this season. But for tonight, the Warriors pick up this win, and there's a lot of things that we can talk about from tonight that I think that will bode for, that the Warriors' future success is really key on. And specifically, I'm talking about on the defense, GP2, and also with guys like Buddy Hield and basically everybody. I mean, TJD playing huge minutes and Andrew Wiggins as well. So let's get into all of these role players. Like the role player hustle tonight really was the difference. Let's get into some of that on the other side of the Locked On Warriors postcast. That's what's coming up next. Today's show is sponsored by Hungry Root. When it comes to planning grocery trips and meal prepping, I have this ongoing problem. I just don't have the time between work, life, and trying to eat healthier. I was constantly feeling stressed out. I'd go to the grocery store, buy things I didn't need, then end up with no time to actually cook. And sticking to my health goals, that's a story all on its own. Big struggle for me, but everything changed when I discovered Hungry Root. Honestly, it's been a game changer. It's the easiest way to eat healthy without all the stress. With Hungry Root, it's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of my grocery shopping, recommending meals and groceries based on my tastes and health goals, from anti-inflammatory to high protein and gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. I'm talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great, all delivered straight to my door. It's been such a huge time saver and has really made healthy eating so much simpler. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box and receive a free item in every box for life. That's right, for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/lockedonnba and use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's hungryroot.com/lockedonnba, code LOCKEDONNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/lockedonnba, code LOCKEDONNBA. Don't miss out. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Warriors hang on to win by 1. And just taking a peek at the chat, Andrew the GOAT, my guy Andrew, one of our everydayers, saying the refs really didn't want to see the Warriors win by 20 on the road against the Timberwolves. Yeah, man, there was some really questionable calls going back and forth, but I honestly thought it was both ways. Like, I saw Ant just begging for calls all night long. He and Steph both hitting the floor repeatedly on layup attempts and just kind of getting hip checked all night long every time that they went up for a layup. And the ending of this one was kind of weird with Tony Brothers going, I don't know why he was on the headset still. It's very confusing to me. I mean, if Kerr called a timeout, why did Tony Brothers go? What was he looking at? Anyways, so very, very strange. Andrew the GOAT, I feel you, my guy. The ref show really slowed this one down in that third quarter as well. The NBA officiating this year, it's just been so inconsistent and so bad. Steph not getting the same rip-through fouls that Ant Edwards was getting tonight. But you never want to spend a show talking about fouls. And of course, got to say what's up to my guy Daniel in the chat, another one of our everydayers. What's up, Daniel? So tonight, the Warriors, just everybody on this team contributed to this one. It was a total team effort from the jump, man. And in this one, like early in the first quarter, that was a huge lift for the Warriors. I mean, they opened up a 24-point lead on the road. And of course, Steph was doing his thing. He hit 4-4 from 3, but it wasn't just Steph. The Warriors were shooting 57% from the field as a team, and that is a big deal because this team has really struggled. It seems like when Steph has his big nights in recent weeks, there's been no one else to kind of run with him, especially since Kuminga's been out. But the whole team as a total shooting 57% from the field, while also holding the Wolves to just 25% from the field in that first quarter. And Ant Edwards in particularly shot just 1 for 5 from the floor, only 2 points in that first quarter. So the Warriors really doing a great job with team defense, with team scoring. TJD making a huge impact on the boards. From the jump, he had a nice pick and roll moment with Schroeder in that first quarter too, which we've been dying to see more of. Threw down a nice lob from Dennis the Menace. And I was hoping that was a sign of more things to come in this game, and that was the only time we saw it. So, I think the Warriors really need to make an emphasis in running these types of plays for TJD and Dennis Schroeder. I think it gets both of these guys engaged and going on the offensive end of the floor. I think it's something that can benefit this team a lot. So I would really like to see more of that. You saw that it was super effective, even over the bigger defenders in Minnesota. So I want to see more of that from these guys. But, I felt such a presence when GP2 made his return in that lineup, in that second wave that came in from the bench. And it just felt like, the defense was everywhere. The hustle plays, like this guy gives you something that no one else on this team gives you. And it's a combination of ball pressure, rebounding, effort, and always making the right play, rolling to the rim on offense. And you can say a lot of these same things about Draymond Green, but GP2 just does it in a different way. The ball pressure that he's able to just impose on his opponents, despite being substantially smaller than all these guys, can play any position out there on the floor except for maybe the 5. But I think if you really needed him to, if you told GP2 go play the 5, he'd probably do it, man. Like, this guy has just insane bunnies, which is crazy for how many lower body injuries he's sustained over the years. For him to still be able to jump out of the building the way he does is nuts. We see him all the time, like battling with 6'10" plus tall defenders. He played the 4 for like the majority of his minutes tonight. And just a reminder, this guy is not the tallest guy in the world. I mean, he's 6'2", 195 pounds. He's about my size. I'm actually a little bit bigger than Gary Payton II, and this guy's going in there and pushing around NBA caliber centers and power forwards. Like, I don't think that this guy gets enough credit for what he does. The Warriors look like a different team when GP2 is out there. We called Brandon Pajemski the great connector. I really think that GP2 has really been that guy for the Warriors in his career. I mean, you look at what he's done and what the Warriors have done when he is there. Like, do you remember that playoff run when he broke his leg versus Memphis? And as soon as he came back, I mean, you felt the gravity of his impact on the lineup. And I felt that same kind of thing again tonight, albeit in a much lesser situation. That was playoff, championship run basketball. And this is, January 15th. So two very different situations, but you can feel the gravity that GP2 brings to this rotation nonetheless. And the defense really showed you. I mean, as I said, 25% shooting from the Wolves in that first quarter. And the Warriors really kept up the defense all night long. Everybody contributed, and it was a total team win. I mean, holding the Wolves to 44% from the field and 45% from three. They really started stroking it there at the end of the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I feel like they did a better job than the numbers even reflect for the majority of this game. And just in general, the Warriors did everything they needed to in order to win this game. They shot 48.8% from the field, so almost 49%, and 50% from the three-point line. But the really big deal in this one for me, the free throw numbers. The Warriors were 18 of 21 from the free throw line, 85.7%, man. And this brings a huge smile to my face. For the first time this year, I can say that the Warriors actually won in a close game because they made their free throws down the stretch. And I know that GP2 missed that one and Wiggins had to snag that offensive rebound in the most clutch, the pinnacle of the clutch minutes in this game. Like, just in the biggest moment, Andrew Wiggins comes up with the rebound after GP2 can't hit the free throw. But as a team, Andrew Wiggins in the non-Steph minutes, especially at the end of that third quarter when Steph went out with about 3:50 or 3:30 left to go, Andrew Wiggins got to the line, I think, 6 times in that closing minutes of the third quarter, and he made 4 of his 6 free throws. And that's all the missed free throws accounted for right there. GP2 missing that one and Andrew missing those 2 at the end of the third quarter. That's all the free throws the Warriors missed tonight. So Andrew Wiggins, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. That was massive for the Warriors. This is something that they've been missing since Jonathan Kuminga went out with injury. And it's something that they're going to need going forward if they're going to want to keep winning. Andrew Wiggins' aggressiveness is paramount to the Warriors' success. In fact, it's so paramount, we got to talk about Wiggs. We just got to talk more about him on the other side. Wiggs has been having a nice bounce-back season, but he's so up and down, man. Why can we not get Andrew Wiggins motivated like he was tonight every single night? Let's talk about that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Also, Jonathan Kuminga spotted without a boot. I mean, we got to talk about that too. So many other things, little nuances to get into from tonight on the other side of the Locked On Warriors postcast. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is sponsored by Wayfair. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a routine. And you guys know I need a routine. I am chaotic without one. Whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look to start the new year, Wayfair has everything you need, all within your budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's goals and home rearrangements with endless inspiration for every space and home or small apartment. In my case, I actually just ordered the perfect small decorative corner table from Wayfair, and it's exactly what I was looking for. High quality, delivered on time, and easy to assemble. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight the Warriors hang on to win by 116-115 at the Target Center in Minnesota, and they needed every bit of contribution from everybody on this roster. You only had a 9-man rotation tonight. Gui Santos gets his first NBA start, and I mean, you needed everybody to contribute to this win. But perhaps the biggest non-Stephen Curry contributor tonight was Andrew Wiggins. And I mean, you saw a lot of stuff from everybody. I mean, everybody contributed. Like I've said 1,000 times in this show, Buddy Hield, 18 points, Moses Moody, 11 points, and some huge monster three-pointers in some really clutch minutes. Dennis Schroeder, 12 points before he fouled out there in the fourth quarter. That was a big moment with Schroeder fouling out with about 4 minutes to go, and the Warriors were able to hang on. And I was concerned about ball handling after that because Steph was just going to get, I mean, the kitchen sink thrown at him from the Minnesota Timberwolves, but the Warriors found a way. And, of course, everybody else contributing. TJD, the 15 boards. Gui Santos, 20 minutes in his first NBA start. Stuffs the stat sheet with 7 boards, 3 assists, and 5 points, just doing a little bit of everything. But I really want to focus on Andrew Wiggins right now. And he didn't have the best shooting night from the floor. He shot 6 of 16 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. So you look at that, and that's not great. But again, the aggressiveness of him getting to the free throw line, especially while Steph Curry was out in this one when he was resting. 10 of 12 from the free throw line. Wiggs also pitched in 5 offensive rebounds, 5 total rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds, a couple steals, a couple assists. I mean, he really did a lot for the Warriors tonight. 24 points for Wiggins in 35 minutes. And they needed all of this from him. The rebounding, the assists. He picked up a really key foul late in this one, setting a screen that the Wolves just blew through him on. And so Wiggins really doing all of these little things really well tonight. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's stepping up when he's playing the team that he started his career with, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not the team that drafted him, that was the Cleveland Cavaliers, but the team that immediately traded for him post-draft, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so he spent a lot of time there, and you could kind of hear the fans giving him a little bit of extra something when he was at the free throw line. Like they wanted Wiggins to feel him, and Wiggs just seemed super chill, super relaxed. And as the post game interview started, Festus Ezeli actually yelled into the microphone as Andrew Wiggins was putting his headset on. He yelled, "They don't want you, Wiggs." And so, I think that there's a little bit of something to that. You saw Wiggins kind of smirk and laugh and smile to himself. And yeah, if you don't think that's getting him going in a game like this, it is tangible to me. I can feel how much Andrew Wiggins was getting up for this game, especially because, he seems so passive in so many other situations. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's able to get up for a game against his former team. I don't think it's a coincidence that Andrew Wiggins was playing the way he was with the aggression he was, driving to the lane, getting the free throws, getting to the stripe. I don't think any of that's a coincidence. I think that it's all predicated on Andrew Wiggins being motivated. And when this guy is motivated, he's phenomenal. We saw what a motivated Andrew Wiggins looks like all the way to the 2022 NBA Finals championship, and that he was a major part of that. Without him, you don't win that championship. But this year, Wiggins is really bouncing back from what he did last year. He's had a nice year overall, averaging 16.5 points a game, 4.3 boards, 2.3 assists, shooting 45% from the field. And those aren't all-star level numbers, but they are substantially better than what we saw from him last year. And so he has become, more like himself, more like the guy that we think he can be in 2024, 2025 so far. But ultimately, I really think that Wiggins in recent weeks has been playing really well. In the month of January, he's averaging 17 points per game, more than 17 points per game. And that's on 50% shooting from the floor. So the three-point shooting, though, this month has taken a little bit of a step back after his really hot start to the season from the three-point line. He's only shooting about 35% right now in the month of January from 3. But I don't think that's a terrible thing. If Wiggins is shooting less threes and still hitting about a 35 to 40% clip and just getting to the line more, I would love that trade-off, because Andrew Wiggins is at his best when he's aggressive, when he's driving to the hole, when he's drawing in other defenders, and he's able to create things on offense or get to the line. And so Andrew Wiggins really is a huge part of this Warriors team. And it's even more crucial that this guy figures it out, because the Warriors, again, as time goes on, looks like they're not going to make a trade of any real magnitude as the trade deadline approaches. So it's absolutely imperative that Andrew Wiggins keeps playing this way. It's absolutely imperative that Jonathan Kuminga keeps staying on the same track that he was on before the injury. You've got to have both of these guys, Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, playing at the tops of their games for the Warriors to have a snowball's chance in hell at making any kind of noise in the postseason, or really, to be honest, to even get there in the first place. I mean, you're looking right now at the Warriors maybe missing the play-in tournament. You got to outlast a couple. You got to beat out Phoenix, who they look not super great right now. I mean, Phoenix, I keep saying that I think they're going to figure it out because they got all these, how do you not figure it out with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal? How do you not figure that out? But I mean, for whatever reason, the Phoenix Suns are just falling apart at the seams. And so maybe the Warriors can hang on and outlast them. Maybe you can overtake a couple of these other teams in the West. I mean, the Timberwolves, the Warriors have played really well against them this year, and the Wolves are only 21-19 on the season, so they're one game ahead of the Warriors. I mean, you got a lot of work to do if you're the Warriors. So, but there's still a lot of season left. You just need Wiggins and Kuminga specifically to play up to their potential, and if they do that, I mean, they got a puncher's chance at least to make a little bit of noise in the postseason. So we just got to cross our fingers and hope. I mean, there's nothing else that the Warriors are going to do. I mean, get the idea of like a Cam Johnson or a Jimmy Butler out of your head. I mean, you start thinking more realistically. It's maybe if they're going to make a trade, like a Kelly Olynyk type guy. So the Warriors, rocky road ahead. But for tonight, 1-point win over the Wolves. You go 2-2 on this road trip, on this 4-game road. You go back to Chase Center and you play Washington next. That's a very winnable game. Maybe you get something going here and you build on this win. Jonathan Kuminga spotted without a boot tonight. I mentioned we'd mention it, so I'm mentioning it. Spotted without a boot tonight. That's a good sign. Our guy's getting better. The sooner he comes back, the better for the Warriors. Hopefully we get some good news when he's reevaluated here in about a week's time. So thanks. That's all the time we have today, though. So thanks for tuning in to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be coming to you live after the Warriors' next game. They play the Wizards in 3 days on the 18th of January at 5:30 tip at Chase Center. So we'll be coming to you live then. We'll see if the Warriors can escape the gravitational pull of 500, 20-20 on the season, 10-10 at home, 10-10 on the road. The most perfect 500 team that there ever was. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.